US President Joe Biden will meet with the leaders of 9 countries on NATO's eastern flank in Warsaw to reaffirm support for their security. Responding to Russian President Vladimir Putin's statement against the West, Mr. Biden said that the West is not plotting to attack Russia, as Mr. Putin said. He said millions of Russian citizens who only want to live in peace with their neighbors are not the enemy. Earlier on Tuesday, Mr. Biden said that Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Addressing a crowd of several thousand people outside the royal castle in Warsaw, Poland, Mr. Biden said, "Kyiv stands strong, Kyiv stands proud, it stands tall, and most importantly, it stands free." US President reiterated the West's continued support for Ukraine. He said there should be no doubt that their support for Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided and they will not tire. Mr. Biden is on an official visit to Poland, the second in the past 12 months. He was speaking a day after his surprise visit to Ukrainian capital. European Union agreed to a new round of sanctions against Russia on February 24th, on the first anniversary of Russian-Ukraine conflict. The package is the 10th to be adopted by the EU member states. The EU diplomats had agreed on nearly all points of the new proposed sanctions. Sweden, which took over the rotating presidency of the Council of EU at the beginning of the year, said the new measures targeted restricted measures against individuals and entities supporting the war. The US also announced it was sanctioning hundreds of Russian firms, banks, manufacturers, and individuals, especially targeting entities that helped Russia evade sanctions on the one-year anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The metal and mining sectors in Russia, along with arms dealers, technology enterprises, and weapons manufacturers, are specifically targeted. A dozen financial institutions, including Russia's largest non-state public bank, importers of microelectronics, and producers of carbon fiber, a key component in defense systems, were all hit with sanctions. The government of Bangladesh signed an agreement with International Solar Alliance (ISA) to increase the use of solar energy in the country. The agreement was signed on Thursday between ISA Director General Ajay Mathur and Bangladesh Power Division Secretary Mohammad Habibur Rahman. The agreement is to be implemented by December 2026. Speaking after signing the agreement, State Minister for Power Nazrul Hamid said that the government has set up a target of generating 40% of its total energy through renewable sources by 2041. He said that Bangladesh aims to produce 4,000 megawatt of solar power by the end of 2030, for which various projects have been taken up. The minister said that the use of renewable energy sources like wind power, energy from trash, and hydropower is also being promoted in the country to achieve this goal. Net metering guidelines for rooftop solar installations have also been implemented. In agriculture also, usage of solar power is being encouraged, said the minister. Several projects will be taken up under the agreement signed between the government of Bangladesh and ISA. These include tall trolley-mounted solar irrigation system of 2 kilowatt each for Bangladesh Rice Research Institute, tall portable solar paddy threshers of 2 kilowatt each, 1.5 kilowatt solar drinking water plant, installation of 2 rooftop solar of 22 kilowatt capacity, and any one railway installation of rooftop solar projects on platforms, among others. The ISA is a coalition of 123 countries formed to promote use of solar energy and deployment of solar technology to ensure energy security and move towards sustainable energy use among participating countries. It was conceived as a joint effort by India and France to mobilize efforts against climate change through deployment of solar energy solutions. US President Joe Biden made a surprise visit to Ukrainian capital Kyiv, his first to Ukraine since its conflict with Russia began almost a year ago. His visit was shrouded in secrecy until this morning. President Biden met his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv. He also met the First Lady of Ukraine, Olena Zelenska, in a joint media briefing alongside his Ukrainian counterpart from St. Michael's Golden Domed Cathedral in the central Kyiv. The US president commended Ukraine's courage during the conflict with Russia. Mr. Biden said he visited Kyiv 6 times when he had earlier served as the vice president. Earlier, the US president said Washington will provide Kyiv with a new military aid package worth $500 million that would be announced on Tuesday. Ahead of a press conference, President Biden held talks with President Zelensky. The US president is due to begin a 3-day visit to Poland later today. Meanwhile, European Union foreign ministers meeting in Brussels will discuss how to make sure Ukrainian forces have enough ammunition. The yearly inflation in Pakistan hit a new high of 38.42% in the outgoing week. The trend of the hike in the prices of essential commodities continued to rise. The week-on-week inflation also jumped to 2.89% from 0.17% a week ago. Of the 51 items tracked, the prices of 34 items increased. The prices of onions, chicken, cooking oil and fuel rose significantly. The price of petrol has been moved up to 272 rupees per litre after an increase of 22.20 rupees. The price of high-speed diesel has been increased to 280 rupees per litre after a hike of 17.20 rupees. Kerosene oil will now be available at 202.73 rupees per litre following a 12.90 rupees hike. Meanwhile, light diesel oil will be available at 196.68 rupees per litre after an increase of 9.68 rupees. On the sidelines of G20 foreign ministers meet scheduled in March, another gathering of Quad countries foreign ministers is also planned on 3rd March, where Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will have a breakfast meeting with his Australian, Japanese and US counterparts. The three foreign ministers will participate in G20 meeting on the 1st and 2nd March and then in the Raisina dialogue as well. The Quad is a group with strong commitment towards a free, open, resilient and inclusive Indo-Pacific in the face of growing Chinese assertiveness. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday announced that Moscow was suspending its participation in a major arms control agreement with the United States. The New START Treaty is the last remaining nuclear arms deal between Moscow and Washington, and it was extended for 5 years in 2021. The New START Treaty was signed in Prague in 2010 and came into force the following year. It caps the number of strategic nuclear warheads that United States and Russia can deploy and limits the use of missiles that can carry atomic weapons. Speaking in his State of National Address, President Putin stressed that Russia was not fully withdrawing from the treaty yet. He said Russia should stand ready to resume nuclear weapon tests if United States does so, a move that would end a global ban on nuclear weapon tests in place since Cold War times. Mr. Putin has addressed the nation as the first anniversary of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine approaches on Friday. President Putin also spoke at length about Russia-Ukraine conflict. He blamed the West for escalating the tension in the region, saying US and its allies showed limitless power. Meanwhile, later on Tuesday, US President Joe Biden will give a speech in Poland after yesterday's high stakes visit to Ukrainian capital Kyiv. President Biden will hold talks with Poland President at the presidential palace in Warsaw before making the speech. During his visit to Ukraine, which was organized in strict secrecy, President Biden promised Ukraine $500 million in fresh arms and unwavering American support. A vast trove of Cambodia's Angkorian crown jewelry, some dating back to 7th century, resurfaced in London last summer. It has been revealed that the stolen items belong to British antiquity smuggler Douglas Latchford. Experts say they have never seen most of the jewelry before and are stunned by its existence. The collection has been secretly returned to Cambodia's capital, Phnom Penh, and is due to go on display there in the country's National Museum. Latchford died in 2020 while awaiting trial in the United States. His family promised to return his stolen collection to Cambodia after his death. The resurfaced collections was found to contain 77 pieces of gold and jewel encrusted jewelry, including crowns, bells, and earrings. A large bowl is thought to date to the 11th century and although it has yet to be tested, appears to be made of solid gold. Experts believe it could have been used as a rice bowl for Angkorian royalty. One of the crowns appeared to be from pre-Angkorian period, experts believe, and could have been made by artisans in the 7th century. Other items, including a small sculptured flower, pose a mystery. It's still unclear exactly how and when the jewelry was stolen and how it made its way to London. Many of the items can be matched to stone carving in the walls of Angkor Wat, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The largest religious monument in the world, its construction began in 1122 as a dedication to the Lord Vishnu, though it transitioned into a Buddhist temple decades later. Angkor Wat was heavily looted during the French colonial period. However, many of Cambodia's other temples were looted during the Khmer Rouge era in 1970s and the turmoil that continued for decades. Turkey has introduced a temporary wage support scheme and banned layoffs in 10 cities on Wednesday to protect workers and businesses from the financial impact of the powerful earthquakes that struck the country's south earlier this month. The moves are part of the Turkish government's steps to support people in the earthquake zone. Employers whose workplaces were heavily or moderately damaged would benefit from support to partially pay the wages of workers whose hours were reduced. A ban on layoffs in 10 earthquake-hit provinces will provide relief to workers. President Tayyip Erdogan said on Tuesday that 8,65,000 people are living in tents and 23,500 in containers while 3,76,000 are in student dormitories and public guest houses outside the earthquake zone. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake on the 6th of February killed more than 47,000 people, destroyed hundreds of thousands of buildings in Turkey and Syria, and left millions homeless. A winter storm spreading across the US west into northern plains and Midwest could produce blizzards, brutal cold, and record snowfall, making roads dangerous and disrupting air travel. The National Weather Service issued advisories for large parts of western and north-central United States, In its forecast, it said that up to 2 feet of snow and winds up to 97 km per hour were expected in some places from Tuesday through Thursday. The slow moving storm brought heavy rain to parts of California and snow to Sierra Nevada mountains. On Tuesday, it was centered over the northern Rockies and high plains, including Montana and Dakota. Late on Wednesday through Thursday, the storm will bring heavy snow and freezing rain to New England. On Tuesday, strong winds knocked out power to more than 163,000 homes and businesses in California, primarily in countries just south of San Francisco, as peak wind at San Francisco International Airport reached 109 km per hour on Tuesday afternoon. The second round of India-Iraq Foreign Office consultations held in Baghdad. Flooding and landslides killed 36 people in Brazil's coastal areas. The 15 members team of International Cycle Expedition, India-Bangladesh Peace and Friendship Bicycle Rally paid tribute to the language martyrs at the Central Shahid Minar in Dhaka on Tuesday on the occasion of International Mother Language Day. Russia's President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday said that China's President Xi Jinping would visit Russia. He said the relations between the two countries have reached new frontiers. United Nations General Assembly has passed a resolution on the need to reach comprehensive, just and lasting peace in Ukraine. Chinese and Japanese officials meet first time in 4 years for security talks to stabilize strained relations.